My name is Dick Wall. I'm actually holding several positions at the moment, including Escalate Software, we do training, and a company called SIBO Technologies, we are hiring. And there's another one, a little wine company, and they're not hiring or whatever, but I'm still quite overutilized on all fronts, so yeah. So I guess the history here would be going back way more than 10 years. I was doing a podcast called the Java Posse from over a decade ago. And about the time we started the Java Posse, there were a lot of rumors of Java's demise, imminent demise. There was Ruby on Rails was coming in big time. C# was beginning to get really big, and people liked the look of things like the closures that it had and some of the more functional features that it had. And meanwhile, Java hadn't really changed in a long time, so a lot of people were saying, it's dead, its time is over. And at least for me, C# wasn't really an option because I'm a Linux guy. I've used Linux for many years. So I started looking around at that point for another language on the JVM that held some of the same ideals as Java, but maybe took things a bit further forward and had a bit more of a future outlook to it. And a friend of mine called Carl Quinn at the time, also on the Posse, told me about this language called Scala that sounded like it fit the bill. And so I started to set about learning it. And at the time it was very difficult to learn. There was one book that had just come out on it, Programming in Scala, and there was a few resources on the internet, some PDFs like Scala by example. And apart from that, there really wasn't much to go on. So one of the first things I did was set up a Scala user group, Bay Area Scala Enthusiasts. And the idea there was to just get people in that I could learn from. But it took me quite a few months to sort of get to a point of being able to use Scala on a day-to-day basis. And I met Bill Venners around that time, and we decided that it would be a good idea and an opportunity to set up some training and accelerate people's first steps through Scala so that they didn't have to go through what we went through in the first place to learn it. So that's really where the training that we started doing came from, and that's morphed over time. We now do advanced training for library developers and very advanced programmers, that sort of thing. But yeah, ultimately, probably about 10 years ago was when I first got into it, and it was because at the time Java didn't really hold a lot of interest for me anymore, and I was looking for the next thing. So. Gosh, I use such a diversity of things that I don't know that I necessarily have an ideal stack. I will say the libraries that I consistently use from project to project. One of the first libraries that I grab, and it's a Java library, but a very high quality one, is Guava. For any project that I'm working on, Guava is one of the first things to go in. It has a great caching solution that suits almost any in-memory caching problem that you want to use it for. I always end up bringing in one of many JSON libraries because the world runs on JSON these days. Futures, I use the built-in futures an awful lot. Akka, of course. I've used Play on things. Lots and lots of, so many libraries. Shapeless, of course, always ends up in there somewhere. I'm not even sure I can remember all the things that I draw on. But a lot of the stuff that I do varies wildly from project to project, so there isn't really one stack because the needs change so much. And what I really do appreciate about Scala is that you get an awful lot just as out of the box as a platform. There's often not a lot of stuff that you need to add to that to get something at least working quickly. And then you kind of, after a while, get used to the usual suspects of things you can go and grab and get working very quickly. So, yeah, it's hard to be more specific than that, I'm afraid. Just a wild collection of different things that get used on different projects. I've been concentrating so much on my talk, I haven't really looked at the following agenda. The ones I've seen today, though, I did I really enjoy it. Well, I love coming to these conferences anyway because I bump into all the people that I know from the community. It's always good to see them. It's always good to bump into Miles, of course, and he did a great talk on type level and the future of the type level initiative, I guess is a good word for that. It was good to see Adrian again and good to see his talk on Scala 2.12. I knew what was coming to a large degree in that, but it's still good to see some of the details of how it was implemented and how well it's working. And also some of the news about what the focus is for 2.13, I guess I'd heard, but seeing it sort of up there on a slide, it really drove it home. And Josh Surratt and I have been like, he'll love the fact that I'm signing him up for work right now. But we've been talking about revisiting views for a little while, and it really seems like now is a good time to try and pick that up again. We've done a little more than talk up until this point, but I really think that it would be a good time to sort of dust that off and try and get that effort going again. So those are the ones that really stick out so far, I think, today.